Mastering the art of professional networking is one of the most important skills that you can master in your career. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my best tips when it comes to maximizing your ability to network effectively. Let's get into it. Now, networking sounds like one of those things that you exclusively do at some specific kind of networking event, like a trade show or a conference, but networking is something that you can be doing in your career to keep moving forward, to keep learning new things and gathering new insights and building new connections, because after all, we are very social creatures, and when it comes to business, making new connections and meeting new people can be such a great way to take side steps or keep moving forward in your career and just really build new fantastic relationships that can serve you on the journey of your career. And so I really want to emphasize in this video that networking is something that you can be continually doing all throughout the year and every month and every week. It's not something that has to be just relegated to when you're attending events or conferences or when you're traveling for some sort of business purpose. So the first thing we want to talk about here is why is networking important and what is the goal of networking. So essentially, the goal of networking is not just about shaking hands and meeting as many people as possible. It's about building meaningful relationships and making meaningful, substantial connections that can serve you both in the short term and the long term of your career. And one of the key things when it comes to networking that you may have heard about before is that it's all about driving mutual value. So no one necessarily wants to be in any sort of relationship where the value exchange is completely one-sided. Think about it from your perspective. If you are giving a lot of value to someone but not getting much back, it's not really a great foundation for any kind of relationship, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life. So you always want to make sure when you're networking that there's a mutual exchange of value that is happening. But like I said, the goal is not just to meet as many people and collect business cards and collect phone numbers or collect emails or collect connections on LinkedIn. The goal is to make meaningful connections. And therefore, you don't have to collect 100 names or meet 1,000 people. You need to find the right people and make the right kinds of connections with those people, because once you do find the right kind of people to connect with and to network with, that will serve you in the long term of your career. So you want relationships that are going to be ongoing, because as you move throughout your career, change positions, you're going to need those connections to serve you in terms of getting insights and getting learnings and things that will serve you in your career, not just today, not just this year, not just this month, but well into the future as well. And that's really one of the key benefits about networking, is that you can have people that if you've got questions, if you're facing a challenge, if you're facing some uncertainty in your role or some roadblocks, you've got people that you can reach out to and say, hey, are you facing this same challenge? What would you do in this situation? Are you seeing something like this play out for you in your business with your customers? Helps you get another perspective, another opinion that can really help you in a point in time. And there's always going to be many cases in your career, I know it's definitely been the case for me, where you just want to get an outside opinion. You know, you're not sharing business sensitive information, but you're reaching out to someone who would have an understanding on the context of what you might be going through and who could share some valuable expertise that can help you in that moment. That's really the value of having a robust professional network. It's having people that you can turn to, and then also being the kind of person that people can turn to you when they're going through challenges, and they can say, hey, are you seeing something similar on your side? You know, how are you navigating this type of situation or this particular customer or this particular challenge? Because there's always going to be challenges, always going to be things that happen that are bad. So it's great to have other people that you can use as a kind of soundboard in these types of situations. And I like to think of these kinds of connections as a sort of social capital. The more of these really strong connections that you can make and that you can nurture over time, as you start to become more senior in your career, you've got this sort of well of social capital. You've got this group of people that you can turn to who will be really fantastic experts in a particular area, because they will become senior, most likely as you become senior, and you'll be able to leverage their knowledge, their understanding, their expertise, their context in order to make what you do more effective in your role, the projects you're working on, and the business where you're trying to have an impact. All right, so we've talked about why networking is so important and what is the goal of networking. Now let's talk about where you can network and how you can network effectively in certain environments. And I want to come back to one of the things that I said at the start of the video, which is that networking isn't necessarily something that has to be relegated to attending trade shows and conferences and places where you're going to be meeting a lot of new people. Although those are great places to meet people, you also want to network within the business that you currently work in. Now, if you happen to work in a large business like I do, I work for a multinational CPG company, and one of the great things about that is that it gives you access to a lot of really smart, really knowledgeable people. And if you're in a role for a number of years, let's say 2 years or 4 years at one of these types of companies, it would be a massive missed opportunity to not spend some time to really get to know all of the people in different departments in the company that you work for, understand what they do, understand their challenges, understand the day-to-day interactions of their role, how it works, what are the daily operations, and really understand their context and their perspective and their part of the overall process in the flow and operations of the wider business. So I really try to go out of my way every few months to put time in the diary to meet people in different teams in the business. I try to meet people in supply, people in finance, people in marketing, people who sit in sales, people who sit in just other parts of the business that are completely don't touch what I do in my day-to-day role, but I want that context. I want to understand how what I do feeds into the wider business. And it's really as simple as saying, hey, X person, I'd love to really learn more about what you do and how it relates to my role and how I can add value to your role. Happy to buy you a coffee. I'll put in half an hour and I'd love to just pick your brain. That is really as simple as it needs to be. And I can't tell you how impactful it can be to have a dedicated half an hour one-to-one with someone in your business to understand what they do, how what you do in your role relates to what they do, what the impacts are, what the flow-on effects are, and also get to know that person on both a professional and a personal basis as well. So it's always great to share where you live, what your hobbies are, what your family is like, just a really quick intro about who you are and what is important to you, and also share a quick intro about your role. And it's also a great opportunity when you're having that one-to-one meeting with someone is to share your professional history, like a very short overview of your professional history. For example, I would say something like, I've got over a decade of experience working in digital marketing. I've worked for an insurance tech company and I currently now work for a FMCG company, obviously, because we're meeting someone who works in the same company that I do. But I've got a lot of experience working in the field of digital marketing, from performance marketing all the way through to brand activation as well. I currently work across the digital shelf or e-commerce component of the business that we currently work in. So great to give a bit of context on your current role and what you do, but also give a quick overview of your professional experiences, that they understand all of your capabilities and they can understand if there might be opportunities to collaborate with you on particular areas, given that they've now got a better view on your level of expertise. So we've sort of bounced around a bit here, but what I really wanted to stress is that one of the key opportunities when it comes to networking is all about networking in your current role, in the current business that you currently work in. And I've personally found that a lot of these catch-ups can spark ideas, spark opportunities for collaboration, but you also get to bank a lot of that knowledge about business operations and business processes and context that will serve you and make you a more effective operator in your role almost instantly, really, after the meeting, because you've got a more insightful context around how the business operates, and that makes you a more impactful person or more potentially impactful person in the business. So again, networking, what does that look like? So setting up 30 minutes with people in your business, people that you want to learn from, people whose brains you want to pick, and where you think there can be a good mutual exchange of value. Similar to setting up 30 minutes to pick someone's brain, you can also just ask someone out for coffee. Most people drink coffee anyway, and the prospect of a free coffee is usually terrific, especially in this inflationary economy. I don't know about you guys and where you are in the world, but coffee is like $6 here in Australia. So if someone offered me a free coffee and they wanted to pick my brain, I'd say absolutely, I'll take the free coffee. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. So coffee is a great informal way to connect with someone both personally and professionally. Although I do prefer to book a meeting room and really have undistracted time to talk to someone, and they can pull up information, show you slides if they prepared any. So that one-to-one connection, if you want to pick someone's brain and sort of build that initial spark of collaboration, booking a dedicated meeting room can be a great way to do it, because you get dedicated, uninterrupted time with each other to really form a proper connection and really understand where there could be some synergies in the work that they do and the work that you do as well. And also there is events. So I mentioned events at the start of the video, and events are probably one of the best ways to get out there and meet new people. The context of an event, everyone is there to meet people, everyone is there to be social and to interact. Most people when they go to an event only know a small amount of people that they're going with. Might be 1 or 2 people. So it is a missed opportunity to go to some sort of trade show or some sort of industry event or conference and not go out of your way to meet as many people as possible. If you see someone there by themselves, or they're ordering a coffee, or you're at the buffet line, just say, hey, how you going? Where do you work? My name is Will. I do this job and I currently work for this company. And just strike up a conversation. You never know where that can lead. Make sure you then follow up by adding them on LinkedIn to really keep that connection alive, and that way they'll see things that you post, you'll see things that they post, etc. You can really form a sort of ongoing connection, and you can become real to that person and give them a chance to form a brand about who you are by the kinds of things that you might share on LinkedIn, all from that initial conversation that you had at an event or a trade show. And of course, when you are networking, you always want to be professional, especially when it comes to meeting people for the first time who might not know you as well as your colleagues do. You always want to make a good impression, give a very brief overview about who you are and what you currently do in your role, and just be very chill, be very relaxed. Don't come on too strong. Don't say, oh my God, I'd love to get coffee with you, blah, blah, blah. Just relax. You're meeting someone new for the first time. You want them to come off with an opinion of you as being professional, as being very capable, as being very smart, as being very interesting. And of course, one of the best ways to be perceived as being interesting is to be interested. It's almost a cliche, but it is one of those great things that if you are engaged with the person that you're talking to, if you are interested in them, if you ask thought-provoking questions, if you ask interesting questions, if you actually listen to what they're saying to you, it'll go a long way in forming that initial connection, which is so important for setting a good foundation for that networking opportunity long term into the future. And wrapping up here today in this video, one of the key things I want you to take away as well when it comes to networking is all about focusing on business, but also sharing some personal information as well. So not sharing sensitively personal information, but when you're meeting someone, it's more contextual to show who you are as a person, not just the business stuff, because you want that person to walk away with an impression of you as a three-dimensional person. And part of building connections and being social is about sharing who you are as a person, not just who you are in your work life. Do you know what I mean? So it's great to share who you work for and what your current role is, but share a little bit about who you are and what you're into. So you could share where you live in the current city. You could share, contextually an overview of how you got to your current role. For example, when I'm having one of those dedicated 30-minute catch-ups with someone in my current business, we're having like a little half an hour of power to understand what they do and what I do, I'll also provide an overview to say, and also on the personal side, I live in an apartment here in Melbourne, Australia. I live with my partner. We're currently engaged at the moment, very excited. We're getting married next year in April. I love going to the footy and watching my local footy team, play football. And I'm really into books and reading, after work and on the weekend, you'll find me curled up on the couch with a good book. So you don't have to share too much, but from the conversation, they might say, oh, cool, what are you reading at the moment? Oh, I'm reading this and that. What are you guys reading? Etc. So that can, a little spark that shares something about who you are can help keep the conversation going and leave them with a lasting impression, again, of who you are as a three-dimensional person, not just some absolute corporate stiff who can't talk about anything else other than work. So I'm Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery. Hope you found this video helpful. I wish you all the best with your next networking opportunity. And if you got value from this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. More videos coming out each and every week to make you a more successful professional. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.